It is said musical expression and sensitivity can be elusive and difficult to approach. Many music teachers seem at home determining the scope and sequence of rhythmic concepts or of the overall difficulty of repertoire. Many educators also seem to feel comfortable sequencing physical skills, such as the development of two-hand fingering of instruments. But the teaching of musical expression and sensitivity can sometimes be veiled in ambiguity. Few teaching methods explicitly address their development, and the popularly held notion of expressivity as a mysterious or intuitive gift. This can hinder the music teacher interested in thinking purposefully about these topics. So how can a music teacher think about and approach a topic that is so vital to musical communication, yet so nebulous and vague? One thing's for certain, it should be taught, and we'll show you how.
Like in the case of the car radio, it seemed like we were able to flip through the stations within a few seconds. So in my research, I'm interested in figuring out exactly how much time it takes before we can tell whether or not we're going to like a piece of music. And really not just how quickly can we decide, but do those snap judgments, those quick decisions actually line up with what we would decide given more time? So if I had just stayed on that first station a little bit longer, would I have eventually stuck with it, or did I make the right decision to switch then? So in my work, I've kind of come to the conclusion
Dr.
that
Amy
snap
Belfi
judgments actually
proves
are quite
that we
accurate.
listen to
And
music
in the next few
based
minutes,
on
I'm
our
gonna go through
mood.
some of the experiments
So
that
is
have
expression
helped me
the
come to that
combination of sounds
So
expressed
let's
on their
start with the
own,
science. The
or
first
is it
experiment I did, we had
experience
participants come
because
into
of
the lab
how
and
it's
listen to
performed?
60 on it.
So tell me, why do you teach, and what about expression?
Music reached some part of me that I can't explain. And I think there's a quote out there that is, music expresses feelings that words cannot. And I've still only seen it a handful of times out of my own students that it reaches them on that level. But I've seen it. It can happen. And the fact that I can see it reach them, and I know that it's happening more and more each day, that makes me really hungry to keep teaching more, because it's going to connect with them. And that's what it's all about, is getting it to connect with the students on a deeper emotional level. And I think that's why I teach, is because I want the students to feel that you don't need words to feel the same emotion that you can from music.
Another question proposed by author Ryan Shaw: is it in the performance or the listener's interpretation? There are two parts of a single process: expression, the extent to which one conveys musical meaning, and sensitivity, the extent to which one received musical meaning.
I start out as an instrumental music teacher, whether it's a band director, an orchestra director. You get certain tools when you're in college that will, in quote, prepare you for that job. But you don't ever get the tools.
Research already conducted shows you can convey expression to the listener. Other items include tempo, timbre, variation, or the instrument.
That part colleges do well.
Dr. Sandy Feldstein would say teachers must be purposeful in planning this. You need a goal and an objective. Expressive performance is the desired dynamic, the tempo and tone. That would be the objective. So how do you teach this? Again, Dr. Feldstein would suggest, because emotion and sensitivity is personal, solicit from the class content and the approach. How do they want to develop this skill?
This hurts and everything hurts. And how do you motivate them? When you're in college, you're on a
The doctor suggests there are many ways to teach expression.
You're trying to do
One
that.
is through a general oral
It's not what it
modeling,
is. What it is
where the
is
teacher
first
demonstrates
kids
and the
to
students
enjoy
play what they
music,
translate
have
the
fun
teacher
playing,
just
to get
demonstrated.
over the initial
For
sticks,
example, watch how I
and then
phrase
keep them
this,
motivated.
or
I know. I
tell me what
published
you
a
hear.
piece of music that only has 5 notes.
Model versus
The first 5
expressive
notes the kids play. And it's
exemplifiers.
done, it's called a first performance.
Physical
and
gesture.
It's done like a demonstration. And it has a narrator. And it starts off by saying, well, this is the band, and the first day we met, this is what we sounded like. And in the kids' parts, it says, play the worst sound you can possibly play. Well, the kids have fun, they make squeaks and squawks, the parents laugh, everybody has a great time. And over the next 15 minutes, it's a 20-minute concert, they actually play a couple of pieces of music only with 5 notes.
What do you want new teachers to know about?
The biggest thing that young band directors need to do is to know that perfection is not what they're striving for. First, they need to have the child motivated to want to stay in the
Faster. What else? Play it different. Nice job, folks. All right, so those 3 things again were pull faster.
Perhaps the conductor or the teacher shows through gesture what a crescendo and a staccato look like. Verbally, instruction on music parameters, speaking to a musical parameter like the volume, accent, or intonation. Perhaps we use verbal instruction in conjunction with images, or perhaps even a metaphor. Those students were told they were playing a little crunchy. And so what's going on with this instrumental band class? And why are they stretching as though they're getting ready for the choir? Well, as it turns out, they weren't fully feeling the beat at the last rehearsal. And the teacher is preparing them for that intonation during this class. So, how do you go about teaching expression and emotion?
Help them become more musical is their articulation. Are they playing it legato like they should be? Are they playing it with the staccatos if there's a staccato? With an accent, really bringing out those accented notes if there's an accent. So I like to point that out to them, make sure that they're honoring everything on the page. Otherwise, it's gonna sound like bum, 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 really robot-y. Like, you know, they're a good player. They're playing the right notes. They're playing the right pitches. They're playing the right rhythm. But they're missing the essential feature that makes people feel things when they listen to music. So I always try to encourage them, like, we need to get this next level of musicality added in, or else the song is kind of boring. And I have to help them write in their own dynamics. And I do this by letting them test them out. There's nothing wrong with letting them try and figure it out. Listen to it if I play this part loud, listen to it if I play this part quiet. Which one did you think was better, and kind of honored the feeling of the song. So if there's not dynamics, write dynamics in. If there are dynamics, make sure that they're following them, trying their best. Sometimes it can be easy to go, oh, you played it right. You played all the right notes. You played all the right rhythms. Great, let's move on. But make sure that you stop and you think, okay, wait, did they really play that piano? Could that have been a little more piano? Because those are the little details that are really going to make them enjoy the music and are going to make their performances really interesting and drawing in. I like to encourage them to move up the tempo so that they are honoring the composer's wishes And so I encourage them to just move them up by a few beats per minute once they've mastered it at one level. So say they start at 56 beats per minute, and if they can play it 3 times a row perfect.
So now that we're getting the feeling for music, what about sensitivity? Well, there are 2 forms of listening. Convergent listening, which is really only one way, where the teacher draws the students to a specific concept of a song, such as the tempo or texture. Maybe asking, do you recognize the characteristics? Another is divergent listening, where there's multiple ways it can be heard. For example, maybe you say, there are 3 distinct features of a single tone. Tell me what you hear. We heard some of the music teachers discussing different ways to articulate music. That's another example of divergent listening. But of course, not every classroom plays out like it does in the movies. Some things to remember that could be helpful. 1, expression and sensitivity are important topics to be discussed as a teacher. Avoiding these conversations is not the best route.
You know what we've been doing wrong, Miss Lang?
And don't forget to paint that imagery. It may just pay off.
Well, what else is there to play?
Well, a lot more to music than notes on a page. These guys, for example. Now, they can't sing, and they have absolutely no harmonic sense, and they're playing the same 3 chords over and over again. And I love it. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Because it's fun?
That's right. Because playing music is supposed to be fun. It's about heart. It's about feelings and moving people and something beautiful and being alive. And it's not about notes on a page. I could teach you notes on a page. I can't teach you that other stuff. Do me a favor. Pick up your class.
As a music teacher, Ryan Shaw would suggest, ask yourselves, as you prepare to teach expression and sensitivity, what is your objective? Then, what's your goal? And while a metaphor can be risky, if taken calculated, it can offer great reward.
Okay, let's do it again. And this time, not so much lip on the mouth. Let me ask you a question.
What?
When you look in the mirror, what do you like best about yourself?
My hair?
Why?
My father always says that it reminds him of a sunset.
Play the sunset. Close your eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't stop playing.
And finally, how are you going to assess your student performance? What's the takeaway that you want them to have? Those assessments should provide descriptive feedback on the skill and knowledge for both the teacher and the student. And they should occur in authentic context of performing, creating, or responding. A question for all of us to ponder: how would you assess your students after teaching musical expression and sensitivity?